Okay, so you're wanting to think about installing a Bukkit server because you've realized that plugins are the way forward in order for you to be able to do the things you want to do and install the plugins and get the control on your server. So the first thing you're going to do is want to work out which version of Bukkit you're going to use. Now there's a reason for this. Bukkit actually stopped development with version 1.7.10. You can see here, this is the old Bukkit downloads page. None of these downloads actually work anymore because there was a cease and desist order put out on Bukkit because there was issues with the software compliance and copyright law. So Bukkit actually had to stop development. So Bukkit stopped development at the build 1.7.10. Now, as you know, Minecraft, shortly after this version, 1.7.10, released 1.8. And version 1.8 had loads new extra blocks in it. It had new ways of doing things, new commands in it. So a lot of the plugins that used to work with 1.7.10 would stop working with 1.8. So you have to make a decision in deciding whether you want to have a slightly older server, i.e. something pre-1.8, and don't have access to all the latest blocks and things in the current version of Minecraft, but have greater compatibility with the range of plugins out there, or whether you want to take the plunge and download a 1.8 Craft Bukkit server and have access to all the blocks, but you might not have access to all the latest plugins. I'm sure the plugins will catch up and there will be alternatives written in future, but right now we're in a bit of a state of flux. So, if you're wanting to get a pre-version of Craft Bukkit 1.7, there are places you can get one. There are two places you can get them. The first place is actually on the minecraftgamepedia.com wiki. So this is the Minecraft wiki. And on the page where it says tutorials and setting up a server, if you scroll down and you come to the Mac OS Yosemite instructions, as you keep going down here, it comes to the bit where it says setting up the Minecraft server, and we have this option here, pre-made server configuration. So this is actually a set of files which means you don't have to write this little command script, but it also includes a copy of Craft Bukkit. So this little bit here actually will give us a version of Craft Bukkit. So if I click on that, you'll see it'll download, and I can stick that on my desktop. And when that's finished downloading in a second, we'll have a look and we'll open that up and we'll launch a version of Craft Bukkit. So that's one way of getting Craft Bukkit. Another way of getting Craft Bukkit is to go to a Minecraft hosting site. Now I use Nitrous Networks. Again, there are lots of different hosting sites out there. And Nitrous Networks, even on their lowest plan for 1 to 4 players at £2.50 a month, they can offer you a Bukkit server, and they can offer you up to Bukkit 1.7.10 or Bukkit 1.8. So you can decide which version of Bukkit you want to run, i.e. more compatible with lots of plugins or the latest version. So there's two ways in which you can actually get hold of a Bukkit server. There is a third way, and I'll be posting a Craft Bukkit jar file on the system, and I'll be putting a link in to the file as part of this week's exercises. So you'll have your own copy of the jar file to play with and decide which one you want to run. I'll get a 1.8 version and I'll get a 1.79 version, I think it is, and I'll put both of those up there for you to have a play with. If you decide you want the 1.8 version, then we go to a place called Spigot. And Spigot, I'll be putting all these links in at the top here. I'll be putting these links into the page file. But if I want to Craft Bukkit 1.8, I can download the snapshot here, Craft Bukkit 1.8, click on that, and again stick that on my desktop, and that will download the 1.8 version of the server. So how do we actually make those work? Well, just as we do with any of the versions, here is the pre-made Minecraft OS X server. If I open that up, There's the Craft Bukkit JAR file from the 20th of March 2014. It's a little bit of an old one. As I said, it's 1.7.2 version on the server, and you can't upgrade it because there's no more upgrades available. So you're stuck with 1.7.2. There's the start command. Remember, if you want to create a run.bat file for Windows, you simply create the run.bat file from the same instructions for a vanilla server and put that in there and run that in a Windows environment. So if I run that, first of all, I double click on that, click open, and we'll see here, as that command file opens, we can see here we're starting Minecraft server version 1.7.2, it's preparing the spawn operator, and it's creating all of the files necessary for Craft Bukkit. So that's my server up and running, and if I launch Minecraft, I need to launch into version 1.7.2 in order to join that server. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll launch my Minecraft launcher, and I will create down here, I will create a new profile, which I'm going to say is 1.7.2 local. And the version I will use, I'll scroll down, 1.7.2 release, save profile, and select 1.7.2 local. So it's now ready to play Minecraft 1.7.2. So there may be features that don't exist in the latest version. That's got to be okay because I'm running an older version. But now if I click on there and scroll down to my local host, there we go. There's my local host game. Double click. I'm logging in, and I'm logged into a Minecraft 1.7.2 game. Okay, so that's now running. Close that down, and disconnect for a second. And I'm going to stop the server with the stop command. Okay, so that's the server stopped. Okay, very briefly then, we'll look at installing some plugins on one of these servers and see the effect of that. Remember, if you're looking for Craft Bukkit plugins, then the easiest place to look for them is on the Bukkit website. So if we look for Craft Bukkit plugins, there we go, plugins.bukkit.org. Okay, get plugins. So the one I'm going to look for is, first of all, is PermissionsEX. PermissionsEX. So there's lots of permissions plugins. Easy PermissionsEX, all permissions. PermissionsEX, there we go. PermissionsEX is the one I'm looking for. Okay, so this is the PermissionsEX page on the Bukkit website. You'll notice here that it's got a little bit of information about it and some links to the wikis and things. However, this isn't the place where you're going to get older versions of the plugin. The best place to get the older versions of the plugin is actually what's called the cursed link. So over here on the right hand side is the cursed link to PermissionsEX. And that will take us to the curse website, where it's a bigger repository, to be honest. That's all it is. So here I'm on the curse website, and here's the PermissionsEX plugin. You'll see that this supports Minecraft 1.8.1. So if we were using the latest version of the Bukkit plugin, we could use this particular version of PermissionsEX. However, we're on 1.7.2. So down here under other downloads, I can see that there is a version 1.79, next 1.7.2. There we go, 1.7.2. So it's PermissionsEX v1.21.3. Brilliant. That's the one I want. So my download is going to begin in 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Brilliant. So my download should start. I'll save that on the desktop. PermissionsEX is now downloading for the right version for my version of Minecraft, well, the Minecraft server 1.7.2. So the other plugin that I would like is I would like the plugin called Lockett. So we're now going to do a search for Lockett. Let's have a little look and see if we can find that. I'm just here back on the Minecraft plugins page. L-O-C-K-E-T-T-E, Lockett. So it's now doing a quick check to see if we can find the Lockett plugin. It's found it, so I will click on that one. And again, I need the other downloads, the older versions. So I'm going down to 1.4, 1.5 is going to be fine. So that's an older version. All of these are game versions 1.8. This is the older version 1.5. That will be compatible with my version of Minecraft 1.7. So that's fine. So let's download that one. Download a game will begin in 3, 2, 1. And save. Right, so the two files, the Lockett jar and the permissions jar, should be on the desktop. So let's just move that out of the way. Okay, there's the Lockett file, there's PermissionsEX. So I put both of those into my plugins folder. And Lockett into plugins. Let's just check they've gone in. So we've got PermissionsEX and Lockett. So those are the two files which go in the plugins folder. And I start my server again. And we should now see some extra scripts going on. There you go, PermissionsEX enabling permissions, Lockett installed. That's great. And if we look in the plugins folder, we can see Lockett has got its own config file, Permissions has got its own config file, so that's all working. So we can see in the console there that Lockett has loaded and Permissions is loaded. Okay, so hopefully, if I now click on this particular localhost server and join it, okay, I need to create a chest, so I need to switch my game mode to creative. I'll do that back in the terminal here, so I'll just opt myself, that's the easiest way, opt iLearning UK. So I've opt myself, which means I'm now an admin operator, which means in game I can simply do /game mode 1 for creative mode. Brilliant. So we're now in creative mode. So walk forwards a little bit. Let's go and get a chest. Let's get a chest there. And I also need a sign for Lockett to work. And let's just test this to make sure it's working. We should also be able to test by doing /plugins. Yep, those two plugins are both green. PermissionsEX and Lockett are both green. So place a chest. The Lockett is coming up there to remind me. I can now place a sign next to it, or I can place a sign on it. So shift click, done. There you go, private iLearning UK. So that chest is now my chest. So the plugins are working, Craft Bukkit is working, and we're on version 1.7.2 of Minecraft. So you should now be able to download a huge amount of Bukkit plugins and install those for your Minecraft server and begin protecting your world. We'll do another tutorial file a bit later on and maybe write a post about some of the plugins that we would recommend you investigating in. We haven't got time in this week to go through every possible plugin combination, but there are some key ones which we could certainly recommend to you. Okay, so I'll just disconnect from there, come out of there, and stop the server. So that was a 1.7.2 server. That was a Craft Bukkit server 1.7.2, and it was created, remember, from the website, which was the Minecraft Wiki website. Again, we'll put the links into those files later on. Okay, in our next video then, we'll look at creating the 1.8 server, which is very similar, and we'll see what plugins are available for that. And you can then make a decision as to whether you want the more compatible older version or you want the newer version with all the blocks, but you might have to hunt around and do a bit of hunting for some of the plugins that you're looking for. Okay, thanks very much and see you soon.